This is our pond. You don't belong here." She said that right to my face. The woman had never met me, didn't know my name, but she looked me dead in the eye and told me I didn't belong. Standing on the shore of Pine Pond, deed in hand, my name on the title. Behind her, 11 boats tied to my docks. 11 families, 11 summers, all for free. No contract, no payment, not even a nickel. Margaret stepped closer, jabbed her finger at my chest, and started waving the neighbors over. "Everyone, this man is trying to steal our pond." People came out of their houses, staring. Then she dialed 911. "Officer, there's a trespasser on our community property. He's refusing to leave. Please hurry." The officer arrived, read my deed, looked at her, said nothing. 24 hours later, 11 boats, 0 docks. What would you do if someone tried to claim what was rightfully yours? You need to understand what Pine Pond really is to grasp why this unfolded the way it did. It's not some fancy lake you'd see on a calendar. It's 6 acres of dark, chilly freshwater nestled in a wooded nook of Willow Creek Estates, a planned community about 40 minutes outside Fredericksburg, Virginia. The pond smells like pine sap and earth in the summer. Mornings bring a low-hanging mist, and the frogs croak like they're in a symphony. There's a rusty boat ramp on the east side and a short dock on the north that's been patched so many times with odd boards, it looks like a patchwork quilt. I fell in love with it right away. I spotted it in an estate sale listing buried on the county auction site. The previous owner, Edward Finley, 81 years old with no heirs, had passed last winter. The pond was a separate parcel from the surrounding HOA land. It always had been. Edward owned it since 1987, and the neighborhood grew around it like vines on a tree. For years, folks used it casually, docking boats, fishing, even a 4th of July float parade, all with Edward's quiet nod. He never charged a dime. He was the type who enjoyed good neighbors. I bought that 6-acre private pond with riparian rights, bottom rights, and a clean title for $47,000. For perspective, the HOA and those boat owners had paid Edward zilch. I grew up in Zanesville, Ohio, in a home where Dad pulled double shifts at the factory and Mom treated coupon clipping like a career. Nothing came easy. I got my GED, started in construction, climbed to foreman, then got stiffed by a contractor who vanished with $80,000 of my savings. That mess cost me 2 years, but it taught me property law, contracts, and true ownership better than any school. When I closed on Pine Pond, it felt like a long-awaited peace. I gave the HOA a week before they pounced. The letter came on a Tuesday, official stationery, signed sharply in blue ink by Margaret Klein, board president of Willow Creek Estates Homeowners Association. Margaret, picture this, 64, retired bank manager from a place that dings you $12 to access your own cash. She'd run the board for 9 years, president for 6. Her lawn was golf course perfect. She drove a white SUV and was infamous for sticky notes on doors if trash bins lingered past 6 p.m. The letter politely stated that pond access had been a community tradition and I need to apply for a use permit, $1, 200 fee, renewable yearly, board approval required. Approval for my own land. I read it thrice, laid it beside my deed, rights docs, and title insurance, then brewed coffee. That evening, gravel crunched under my boots as I inspected the dock. 11 boats, none mine. I started making calls. My reply took 20 minutes to draft, seconds to sign. I thanked them for the welcome, noted my deed, county recorded, insured, HOA free, mentioned no permit or fees. Wished Margaret a fine fall. Sent it certified, return receipt. It came back signed, so hard it ripped the paper. 4 days later, every home got the October Willow Creek Gazette, the HOA newsletter on fancy, stock-smelling, like late-night copies. My neighbor Susan Whitaker, a retired teacher, brought me one with raised brows. It painted the new owner as hostile to traditions, maybe restricting shared resources. Margaret quoted concerns for community safety. One polite refusal, and suddenly I'm a threat. I photographed it, sent to a Richmond defamation lawyer. She said borderline, but document everything. These escalate. The real drama was the prescriptive easement claim. Their second letter, lawyer drafted, argued 15-plus years of open use created a legal right. In Virginia, prescriptive easements are legit. 15 years adverse use without permission. Key. Without permission. Edward gave permission, informal, neighborly, but permission. It kills the claim. The clock never starts if use is allowed. My attorney, Jonathan Reeves, 22 years in property law, contacted 3 folks who talked lake access with Edward. One had a birthday card, fish anytime, always welcome, in shaky ink with a bass on front. Jonathan was upbeat. Their case is wet cardboard. It'll cost them to learn. Meanwhile, pressure built like a storm. Margaret held an emergency forum at the clubhouse. Refreshments, but agenda was outrage. I wasn't invited. A resident later said she declared, "We must protect our way of life." She omitted they'd freeloaded off a dying man's pond without a deal. Susan's footsteps on my drive next morning brought gold. She'd been Edward's neighbor 14 years, organized like a pro. Edward gave her a box of papers in his decline. She stored it in the attic. Digging out tax receipts, bills, and a 2019 draft lease. $3, $600 yearly, 3-year terms for access, maintenance, insurance. Note, sent to board, awaiting reply. Stapled, certified mail receipt to HOA. They got it signed, ignored it. Let an old man wait till death. I scanned it for Jonathan. This shifts everything, he said. Pattern of knowing misuse, ignoring formalization, bullying new owner, tortious interference, unjust enrichment. They profited free, knew better, now fight. Doc inspection followed. County guy Randy checked, found no issues. 11 minutes. That night, HOA Facebook post implied investigation, omitting clean bill. I dug county permits. 2021 HOA doc build application on Edwards parcel. Rejected for no ownership. They knew, pretended anyway. Folder thickened. Lease, receipt, rejection, newsletter, report. Margaret doubled down. Petition at mailbox kiosk, protect our pond. 180 signatures. 53% of 340 homes. Majority, but slim, 160 didn't care or refused. Thursday, her SUV rolled up slow. Mr. Harlan. Margaret, I assume not to repay $36,000 in free access. She snapped. This is community. Traditions. Kids fish here. People like you don't get building something. Virginia's one-party consent. My phone recorded clean. HOA lawyer letter. Aggressive, demanding negotiation, citing reliance. Jonathan drafted 8 pages. Lease site. Unjust enrichment. $10,800 retro. Permit rejection. Her comment transcript. CC and RS violation. HOA can't sue non-members without court order. Pond non-annexed. Waiting paid off. Jonathan called. Docs on your land? Survey confirmed. All 3 on Edwards boundary. HOA land setback 30 feet. 2016, $22,000 assessment funded build. On private land, post-lease ignore. Structures affixed to land. I own them now. Residents funded under false pretenses. Board misrepresented assets. Satisfaction shifted to offense. Jonathan's plan. Phase 1. Ownership notice. 30 days respond. Phase 2. Quiet title suit. Judge confirms ownership permanently. Phase 3. Settlement. Retro pay or court loss. Padlocks arrived. 16 steel keyed alike. Signs. Heavy aluminum. Gate hardware ready. Susan's affidavit. Detailed recall. County aide Alex pointed to HOA Disclosure Act. Misrepresenting assets in sales packets. Reporter Rebecca Holt, HOA overreach specialist, said she'd investigate. My letter to homeowners, fax only, notarized. Mailed pre-filing. HOA's new lawyer, 19 pages delay. Facebook spun rumors. Investors, marina, hotel. I was just a 43-year-old ex-foreman who liked morning quiet. Anonymous notes to Susan, Alex, pressure. Signed complaint, rejected, not HOA land. Marina Guy Dillon, Margaret's pontoon in slip 3, hers by fiat, no pay. Logs confirmed. Time to act. Letters dropped Wednesday. Facebook exploded. Is this true? Docs not ours. $340 assessment for what? Board emergency. No quorum. 3 absent. Leonard called. Didn't know. Getting lawyer. Margaret's title cloud attempt. Rejected. No interest. Virginia law clear. Secure my property. 4th of July party loomed. Susan and I porch sat. Edward would have approved. 5:31 a.m. Dylan and I locked. North dock, east, south. Sign staked, gate installed. Done by 6:14. Back at 8:45 with chair, thermos, folder. First kayaker. Stared, phoned. By 9:40, 11 folks phoning. Margaret at 9:52, furious. Remove these. My property. She called 911. Officer reviewed binder. Legal. Can't help. Rebecca arrived, photographing. 40 residents gathered. I read statement. Edward's generosity ignored. $22,000 misused. Lease snubbed. Rebecca pressed. Why number 2019 response? Margaret, don't recall. Article ran. HOA spent $22,000 on private docs. Margaret resigned Tuesday, pursuing interests. 3 followed. Inquiry opened. New board. Leonard scheduled talks. Lease, $3,000 yearly. 5 years. Access, maintenance share, recorded acknowledgement, private contractual. 291 to 22 vote. First payment. New dock by Thomas Reed. Level Pine, 6 slips, 3 first come. Late August, I sat dockside. Heron, kid fishing excited. Edward, Finley Fishing Fund. Susan's idea, lease funded, match donations. Kids learn angling, conservation. First group, 12, then 19. The pond endures. Quiet mornings, mist. Another dispute brews somewhere. Maybe yours. What do you think about injustice and bullying in everyday life? Share your stories in the comments. Take a stand on whether people like Margaret deserve consequences or if forgiveness is key. Let's hear your views. It sparks real discussion.